Lesson 5.8, more practice with decimal divisors. On this practice page, to be honest, there's just not a lot of space to show our work for the first four, so we're going to start with number 5. Number 5, the task is to circle the division that does not have the same answer as the others. In other words, one of these division expressions is not like the others. And so you have to to visualize them. I'm just going to kind of circle them off. Some of these are mental math, and some of these maybe won't be. Let's see, 55 divided by 5. I think you know what that is as mental math. How many times does 5 go into 55? This is 11. 5 and 5/10 divided by 5/10. So think about this. How would this look if we showed it in long division format? Well, the numerator, or the number on the left, is your dividend. That goes inside the bracket. And this decimal would be your divisor. That goes outside the bracket. How many places do we need to push a decimal point to clear it out from the divisor? One push makes the divisor 5. And do the same to the dividend. One push makes this 55. So this expression actually becomes 55 divided by 5, doesn't it? Which we know is 11. So far these first two match. 3 to go. 55 divided by 5/10. Okay, so again, I'm going to write this out in long division form. 55 goes inside the bracket, 5/10 goes outside. How many pushes? One push. But then we need to make one push here. And now this problem becomes 550 divided by 5, doesn't it? So I'm saying that this is our oddball. And I know we were supposed to circle the one that doesn't, and I circled all of them. But I'm thinking that instead of circle, I'm just going to put an X through that. I think this is the one that's going to be the oddball. Let's just look at these last two to feel confident. 55/100 here goes inside the bracket, and 5/100 goes outside the bracket. 2 pushes are needed, whoop, whoop, to make this 5. 2 pushes, whoop, whoop, to make this 55. And this checks out, doesn't it? This becomes 55 divided by 5, which is what we've been dealing with. This is the same as the others. And finally, we have 55 thousandths divided by 5 thousandths. I think that's going to check out, but let's just prove it. Inside the bracket, we got 55 thousandths. Outside the bracket, we got 5 thousandths. How many pushes are needed to clear out the decimal point in the divisor? If you said 3, whoop, 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 it would be correct. What we do to one side, we must do to the other. 1, 2, 3. And sure enough, this gets rewritten as plain old 55 divided by 5. Both of these expressions are going to be equal to 11, just like the first one. Okay, moving on. Number 6, each bar of wax weighs 25/100 of a pound. A 23 5/10 pound shipment arrived. How many bars were in the shipment? Okay, so let's set this up as division. 25/100 is going to be outside the bracket. That's our divisor. 23 5/10 is going to be inside the bracket. That's our dividend. How many pushes are needed to clear out the decimal point in the divisor? Whoop, whoop, 2 pushes. Whoop, whoop, 2 pushes. Let's rewrite this as divisor of 25 and a dividend of 2,350. Find how many times 25 goes into 23? No. How many times 25 goes into 235? I'm saying 9. 25 times 10 is 250. 25 times 9 is going to be actually 225. Let's subtract. Let's bring down. How many times does 25 go into 100? 4. 25 times 4. Nothing left to bring down, nothing left over. We have our answer, 94 bars. Okay. Number 7, a marathon is approximately 26 2/10 miles. John had run 8/10 of a mile. Oh boy, he's got a long way to go. How many times more does John need to run than he already ran? How many times more? Okay, so in other words, if he ran 2 times this amount, he'd be 1 6/10 of a mile into the race. How many times more? So we'll take this total distance and divide it up into to see how many times 8/10 goes into 26 2/10. Look at our divisor. It has a decimal point. How many pushes are needed? Whoop, 1 push. Whoop, 1 push. Rewrite this. Our new divisor is 8. Our new dividend is 262. Find how many times 8 goes into 26. 3 times. 8 multiplied by 3 is 24. Let's subtract. Let's bring down. How many times does 8 go into 22? Twice. 8 multiplied by 2 is 16. 22 minus 16. Let's see. The 2 needs to borrow. 12 minus 6 is 6. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to extend the problem, because when we're in this business of doing decimal division, sometimes we need to extend the problem. And what that means is I'm going to put a decimal point here and a decimal point here. I'm going to add a 0 placeholder here to bring down, and I'm going to find how many times 8 goes into 60. 7 times. 8 multiplied by 7 is 56. The 0 needs to borrow. 10 minus 6 is 4. Let's continue to extend the problem. Add another placeholder 0, bring it down. Now find how many times 8 goes into 40. 5 times exactly. 8 times 5. Nothing left over at this point, so we have our answer. And as we suspected, John has a long way to go. The race is 32 7/75 times the distance that he has already run. Yikes. Number 8. Hannah is making some stew that will cook for 5 4/10 hours. She checks on it and stirs it after every 2/10 of an hour. How many times will Hannah stir the stew? All right, let's set it up. How many pushes are needed? Whoop, whoop. Let's rewrite this. Our new divisor is 2. Our new dividend is 54. 2 goes into 5 twice. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. Subtract. Bring down. 2 goes into 14 7 times. 2 multiplied by 7 is 14. Subtract. Nothing left to bring down. 27 times. Number 9, Marisol's kitchen has an area of 76 1,400 square feet. The length of the room is 9 4/10 feet. What is its width? Of course, this is implying that the kitchen is rectangular in shape. We know the area of a rectangle is length times width. If we know that and we know the length, then figuring out the width means taking the area and dividing it by the length. So in this case, the area is our dividend. That goes inside the bracket. And we're dividing this amount by the length. How many places do we need to push a decimal point to clear it out of the divisor? Whoop, whoop. Okay. Let's rewrite this. Our new divisor is 94. Our new dividend is 761 and 4/10. Now, I want you to notice something. Yes, we are ready to divide because we have cleared out the decimal point from the divisor. But even after doing one push, notice that there is still a decimal point in the dividend, and that's important. What that means is that we need to insert a decimal point in the space for our quotient right where it lies, and now we can proceed with dividing as usual. 94 is close to 90. How many times about does 90 go into 761? Well, 90 times 8, 720. I'm going to test out multiplying by 8 as a side calculation. 94 times 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 2 comes down, 3 gets carried. 8 times 9 is 72 plus the 3, 75. And that checks out nicely. Now, let's subtract 1 minus 2. 1 needs to borrow. 11 minus 2 is 9. Let's bring down 4. Hey, 94 goes into itself one time. 94 times 1, of course, is 94. 94 minus 94 is 0. Nothing left to bring down. 8 and 1/10 feet is our answer.